Okay, everybody. Um, we're going to see in this video what is a sequence and how to understand sequences if we already understand what is a function. So, if you understand what is a function, passing to sequences will be natural and it will be easy if you just understand few things. So, just to bear in mind that when we have a function, what you do is just pass from a domain that we're going to call it x to a range that we're going to call it y. This is what we're going to do when we work with functions. So if you have a function, what we're doing is just having a rule to pass from a domain x to a range y. Now in a function, we know that one element of domain goes to only one element of range. Sequences are only functions. But the only difference with sequences is that the domain is the natural numbers. So a sequence is just a function in which the domain are the natural numbers. So it means that we're going to use the numbers n instead of x. That goes 1, 2, 3 until infinity. So this is the idea when you work with sequences. When we work with sequences, what we're doing is just getting a domain that is the natural numbers. So in this case, for example, when you see a sequence, let's say that somebody put you the sequence 2, 4, 6, 8, etc. So what we're doing is just telling you the terms or the range of our function using natural numbers. So in this case, that will be the range that we're going to represent it. Instead of y, we're going to represent it by a sub n, the terms sub n, and each one corresponds to the n term. So in this case, this is the first term, that is 2, the second term, that is 4, the third term, that is 6, and the fourth term, that is 8, and we can know what will be the fifth term if we understand the rule. Okay, so in this case, for example, if we say, okay, I want to know the term a sub 3 or the third term, so I just need to go to the third position. The third position is 6. The third term is 6. I want to know what is the second term, so the second term is just 4. So this is how you understand functions. If you observe, what we're doing is just changing the notation because we're using natural numbers. Instead of using y as the variable, we're going to use a sub n. And this sub n is going to tell us what is the position of our range or of our sequence in the term. So for example, a sub 2 is 4, a sub 3 is 6. From here, it appears something that is called the recursive formula for sequences. So what means the recursive formula for sequences? The recursive formula for sequences is when you can get one term of the sequence if I know the term that is behind. Okay? If you know what is the term that is behind the sequence, you can calculate the new term. So I'm going to give you an example using this sequence. For example, in this sequence, we have 2, 4, 6, 8. So we know that what we're doing is just adding by 2 to get the next term, right? So if you're adding by 2 to get the next term, for example, here, a sub 3 is 6, a sub 2 is 4. So it means that if I take a sub 2 and add 2, I'm going to get a sub 3. Okay, so for example, a sub 3 is going to be, in this case, a sub 2 plus 4. But, sorry, plus 2. Plus 2. But you can observe that this applies to any term of the sequence. If I have the term, not the term a sub 3, let's say that I have the term a sub 4. So it comes that it's the same as a sub 3 plus 2. But let's say that I don't want a sub 4, I want a sub 5. So a sub 5 is a sub 4 plus 2. So here we have a recursive formula. Look at that. The term I have got, 3, correspond to the term behind. How to write this? The way to write it is a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus 2 in this case. So this is how you can get a recursive formula. You just need to observe what is the term-to-term rule, or how to pass from one term to another. And this is the operation we apply here. Observe that here I'm just generalizing the fact that one term becomes from the term behind plus 2. Okay? This is how do you get the recursive formula. But in sequences, like in functions, we not only have a recursive formula, but we also can have an expression, a rule. We can get the term using the rule. So let's say, for example, a rule. A rule could be a sub n equals, let's say, n squared minus 2. So this is a rule for our sequence. It's not a recursive formula because I'm not using the term behind. I'm using just the n term. So what means this? I just need, if I want to get the n term, I just need to replace n by the number I want. Let's see that, for example, here, I want to determine what is the term a sub 5, the fifth term. So if I want to get the fifth term, I just need to replace n by 5 and simplify, like if you do with functions. So in this case will be 25 minus 2 to get 23. So this is how you can use the function rule to get our term of the sequence. So now, as you can observe, we have two options to get the term of a sequence. One is if you have the recursive formula, or the other is if you have the n term. You have the recursive formula, you need to have one term of the sequence to get the next, and if you have the rule of your sequence, the n term, you just need to replace n by the number of the term you want to get. In this case, 5, for example. This is the first part of how to get sequences, and this is how to understand sequences. Now, as an exercise, I recommend you to work on these two parts first. So, for example, I want you work on this question. Find the recursive formula for this sequence. So let's say that the sequence is 3, then goes 15, then goes 75. Okay? And find the 10th term of the sequence let's say that the sequence is a sub n equals 2n minus 1. I let you with these two options, so I recommend you to solve it, write in the comments how you did it, write how you find out the recursive formula and the 10th term of this sequence. Now, in this video, we just learned a few things. The first thing is to understand what is a sequence and how can you understand a sequence as a function whose domain is the natural number set. If you understand this, it will be very easy. Now, the notation. When you put the terms of a sequence as a list, you're just using domain and range. You're putting in position what is each term. Remember the notation. A sub n represents the term of the sequence. And finally, you observe how to get the recursive formula by doing the term-to-term rule and how to get the n term of a sequence. In the next video, we're going to talk about arithmetic sequences. So I recommend you to work on these two exercises. Send me your comments, send me your questions so we can answer it together. See you in the next video. Bye bye.